Welcome back to the Sunday Property Breakfast. We're going to be digging deep into the property market today, looking at some of the important statistics in order to be able to help you with your property journey, wherever you may be on that, whether you're looking to buy or sell now or in the future. I'm Adrian Jones from Keller Williams. Thank you very much for joining me. The original Sunday Property Breakfast, we created it straight after lockdown. And at that time, apart from the fact we all had a lot of time on our hands, there was no sort of pub chat, cafe chat, which shared ideas and what was going on. And that was one of the reasons why the Sunday Property Breakfast was so useful and was watched and listened to by so many people. But times change and we've changed the format now. So what we are currently doing is we're running a series of podcast specials every Sunday at 10 o'clock. And they're on a particular topic around the property market. We've done them recently on first time buyers, and the next ones we've got coming up are about downsizing and showcasing and staging your home. They're available here as well to watch and listen to, but they're also available as podcasts on Spotify, Google, Apple, and wherever you normally get your podcasts from. So please do subscribe to those. You can go back and listen to some of the old ones as well. But on the last Sunday of the month, we're going to do an old-fashioned Facebook Live style property market assessment. And one of the advantages of doing it monthly is that you can not just comment on the stats and what's going on, but also review what's happened and take a bit more of an overview, which is what we're going to be doing today, in the hope that it'll help you with whatever decisions you're making. And obviously, please do get in touch if you want to talk to us specifically about something. We may as well start with the obvious headline that the base rate didn't change this month. We're still at 5.25%. That's the first time in 14 months that it hasn't risen. It was a pretty close vote, 5-4 at the Bank of England. To try and put this in, though, initially some historical perspective, the average mortgage from 1995 to 2022, the average rate was 5.62, which is pretty close to where we are now and probably where we will be for a good while. Their highest within that, it was at 8.87, and the lowest average was 3.59. We know quite a number of people who obviously were able to borrow below that figure, which is why the change has been such a shock to a lot of people and has changed the market significantly. For the last 2 months, though, we've had a mortgage tug of war amongst the key lenders. Even before the last base rate increased from 5 to 5.25, a number of lenders reduced their rates. After that announcement, a number continued to still do it and have done since. And they again reduced the rates before this last announcement and have continued to do so again since, nationwide this week. Towards the end of the week, one of the latest to reduce again. How does this affect you directly? Well, you may not be buying or selling at the moment, but somewhere in the region of 500,000 people are coming out of a fixed rate mortgage between now and Christmas or into early January. So if that is you, or you know somebody in that situation, it is really important that you act, and don't just sort of put your head in the sand on that one at the moment. But how is it affecting the actual property market and the buying and selling? Well, in simple terms, a number of things have become very sensitive. Affordability has now become sensitive. Confidence, because of these changes, has become sensitive as well. And as a result of that, pricing in the market is now critical and very, very sensitive. And we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail in a moment. We're back to some basic economic issues of supply and demand, which is why the market we had before, Trussonomics, was very much a seller's market, and now it's very much a buyer's market in the space of that year. Christopher Watkin, who provides some amazing statistics for us in the property market, um, he highlighted this week that the stock available has effectively doubled in the last 20 months. It's gone up by 88.5%. This week, just gone alone, there were across the country, there were 35,000 new listings, 21,000 sales, although there were 5,000 fall throughs. So net, there were 16,000 sales and 35,000 properties came on the market. You can see the difference in the supply and the extent to which that's been taken off the market. Another interesting stat, I do quite like them. And by the way, these stats, although national, they are reflecting pretty much what is happening locally as well. So the basis is the same. In the end of January 2022, there were 343,300 properties on the market. At the beginning of September this year, there were 647,200. Huge, huge increase. And yet, in spite of that increase in the number of properties available, the number of properties with sales agreed actually is 20% lower than it was same time last year. So we've got a situation where finance is uncertain and more expensive than it was, and there is more stock. So pricing is the one issue at the moment, which is critical to the whole movement of the property market. And there are at the moment too many properties overpriced in the market. And there's three main reasons for a property being overpriced. It can just be an error. We've done it where we've looked at a property, we thought it's worth a certain value, genuinely believe that people would get offers at that level, and it's turned out that there's not been the same appetite, and you over valued certain elements of the property. And so the thing to do with that is acknowledge it very quickly with the vendor and change the price and put it onto a property value that is then going to attract interest. One thing that still happens in the market, which I just don't like, is testing the market. The person who loses when you test the market, when there is no real proof that that property value is going to be obtained, the person who lose will be the owner of the property. The agent will probably retain the instruction. It will eventually be sold for something a little bit below that value. But it is the owner who invariably sells for lower than they would have done if they got the price right in the first place. Testing the market is something you do when you've got a seller's market. 18 months ago, that could have worked. It really doesn't work at the moment, is when you've got this market which is flat or possibly dropping, and the buyers hold the keys at the moment. The other one that is just sheer bad practice, and unfortunately still goes on a lot, is agents who simply overvalue a property in order to win the instruction. And again, the person who really loses on that is the owner of the property. The agent will be quite clever and skilled in reducing the property bit by bit until it eventually gets to a price that is sold. Invariably, that price that it finally sells for is less than it would have done if the price had been correct and more attractive when it first came out. And it is again, it's the agent who is not going to lose very much. It is the owner of the property who loses that. It is really, really important that I think that people understand um, the importance of knowing when they get somebody around for a value, that that valuation, um, that there is evidence as to why the agent will um, believes that they will obtain that price. If you pricing can then actually become a strategy, um, and if you think of this scenario, that if you release it at what is believed to be a correct, attractive price, you will get viewing interest. You'll also get feedback on those viewings as well, which is important to know when you're marketing and selling anything, or what people think of it. And ultimately, you get buyer competition. And when you get a competition, you get the best price you can in the marketplace, whatever that may be. If you overprice it or test it, you get few or sometimes no viewings at all. From that, you get no feedback and you've got no buyers. And then you're on this system of price reductions. And as an owner, you're very much then on the back foot trying to sort of reinvent the instruction. Think in your own mind as a buyer, your opinion of a property that's either been on the market for a long time or one that's been reduced once or twice before, or indeed both. Even though it's the property that you may really like and be really wanting to buy, you hold all the sort of all the power really in that relationship, because the owner is at that stage very, very vulnerable, and that can be a real issue. We talk about time being the enemy of price and price strategy quite a bit in our seller's guide. If you would like a copy, by the way, of our seller's guide to assess how we look at property and how we deal with these things, please do just let me know, drop me an email or a request in a direct message, whatever. Next bit I want to talk about was 2023 or 2024. Because of all of that uncertainty, quite a lot of people are thinking, I'll sell in the new year. If you are undecided, please do give me a call and have a chat about it. It is not necessarily the right decision just to wait for the new year. I don't think there's going to be a magic bullet in January that will significantly change the property market that we're in at the moment. I think it will remain fairly consistent with that. But I do understand sometimes for different reasons why people will say, I'm going to wait and I'm going to sell my property next year, next spring. If that's the case, what do you think would be the best idea? Wait until February, March, call a couple of agents, make a decision based on the one who you think can do the best job for you, put it on the market straight away, and then hope for the best. Or give us a call now and we can actually move things forward at this early stage. It's a great opportunity for us to get to know you and you to get to know us. We can get to know your property and we will, of course, give you a value and a thought on it. But critically, we can also advise you on the things that you can do between now and when you come to sell it that will absolutely maximize its presentation and its saleability and ultimately its value. It's going to be very competitive again next year. It's still going to be a buyer's market, and the properties that will struggle are those which are not presented well. And that's presented well within our photography and our marketing, but also with the physical viewings from vendors. So if you're thinking next year is the time for me, or indeed we see a lot of people looking a long way ahead. We have 4 valuations this week. Only one of them is going to come on the market. The other 3 are 18 months to 2 years forward. We do this a lot. Please do give me a call and let me know, and we can come around and assess the property for you. Having said what I've just said, one last little bit of statistic is the on the market, with the probably third well-known portal. They don't produce the statistics that the others do. They produce a property sentiment report. And in spite of what we've just said about it being a tougher market, this is proof that the sentiment is still there to buy and sell property. 75% of buyers believe they'll find in the next 3 months. 61% of sellers think they will sell their house in the next 3 months. And 38% of properties put on the market sold in the first 30 days. That is proof there is still a market. Pricing is the sensitive issue there. That's enough stats and property market summary today. If you want to know how this really affects you and wants to know about you, your property, please do get in touch. adrian.jones at kwuk.com. Remember then, the podcast specials, they're on the other Sundays of the month, 10 o'clock. You can find them on all your normal podcast networks and channels. Next week, we're doing a brilliant one about how to stage and showcase your property with Karen Chapman of Renaissance Interiors. We've just recorded that one. It's a really, really good podcast. Lots of ideas within that as well. We'll be back for this Sunday Property Breakfast Live on the 29th of October, if you can wait that long for such great information. If you can't, just get in touch. We can give you any amount of information. You can also join our clubhouse, which is where the members will get updates on this sort of information on a weekly, bi-weekly basis as well. So drop me an email and you can join our clubhouse members as well. Thank you, as always, for watching the Sunday Property Breakfast. See you next month, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Thanks very much indeed. Bye for now.